Now I'd like to introduce past President Joss Angel, Managing Partner with Marketing Forensics, to introduce our program for today.
Thank you, President Angela. I am proud to have the opportunity to introduce Rhonda. If you look up Rhonda on LinkedIn, it kind of says it all in just the first sentence. It says Rhonda Bannard, founder, creator, catalyzer, and I would add to that connector. I've known Rhonda for more years than either one of us would like to admit. That title on LinkedIn tells you her role in this incredibly important issue, but it also tells you who Rhonda is in general. She is a founder, a creator, a catalyzer, and a connector. As long as I've known her, she's gotten behind really important issues and projects and doggedly gotten other people to understand her vision and to help that make that vision successful and make it reality. Years ago, I remember sitting at the Rotary International Convention, and they announced there that Rotary was going to end polio in the world. I remember sitting there thinking, that's crazy. That's not possible. There's no way that'll happen. Well, guess what? And that's what Earth Gives is about. Rhonda, she has a more modest goal than just eliminating polio in the world. It's no biggie. It's saving the world from us. And yesterday was the big day, the big kickoff. And I would like to introduce her to tell you what this is all about. Rotary has signed on and is behind this project. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Rhonda Bannard.
Well, thanks, Joss. Do you know that when you talk about how long you've known me, it ages me too? But that's all good. And yes, nothing small in my life. And you're right, I should probably add connector because my company's been called Inspired Connections for 20 years. And Angela, a little shout out to you. Catherine Sacalo was at my house last night, and I happened to mention I was doing this today, and she's like, oh my gosh, one of my former students is the president. So it's a very small world, and really that I think is the key theme. And I'm gonna share the stage for a moment with someone else. And to that point, we are all interconnected. And so it is through those relationships, it's through the village. And I'm so heartened by the stories that I've just seen today already. And my original career was in journalism. So I'm like, there's so many good stories in everything that you've just shared today. So it does take a village. Yesterday came about, and our future has come about because of connections. And so I'm super proud to turn this over to who I would call a good friend now, but a newer friend connected through somebody here in the Phoenix area. He's a Rotarian, lucky me, and he knows all about this, and he made so much happen related to Earth Gives. And so I thought it was important for him to first talk. And he's also one of the Earth Gives board members. So I'd like George Bash to kick us off appropriately, and then I'll come back in with some more detail about Earth Gives. So thanks for having me, George.
Thanks, Rhonda, for that introduction. It's really nice to be here. I'm talking to you from Taos, New Mexico, up at 7,000 feet, looking out at the mountains. But I have a long history in Phoenix myself. I came to Phoenix in 1987, lived in Encando and Coronado. The population was 1.8 million. When I arrived, and in 2006, when I moved to Taos, it was almost 3.5 million. So I've lived personally through the impact of population growth and witnessed the climate change in Phoenix, and through my global travels. I am right now closer to 85 than 84. I've been to all 7 continents multiple times and in over 60 countries, and have seen what's happened to our planet in my lifetime and your lifetimes. the climate issue is clearly important. Anybody reading the paper and following the news knows that. But it's been a visible issue since 1970 when Senator Gaylord Nelson of Wisconsin founded Earth Day. That's over a half a century ago. And it's been in kind of the background. But several years ago, one of our Rotary International presidents said that environment is Rotary's ultimate mission. And I'm going to put a link in the chat for that. And went on to say, if Rotary is going to be relevant, then we've got to be looking at the environment. Rotarians understand that the whole world is their backyard. They can see the effects of climate change in communities they care about, and they haven't waited to take action. They're tackling the problem the way they always do, coming up with projects using their connections to change policy and planning for the future. Rotary has had for years 6 pillars, as you all know: peace and conflict prevention and resolution, defense for disease prevention and treatment, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, and economic and community development. And I was really glad that somebody mentioned polio, because we as an organization started in the late 80s to on the path to eradicate polio, and it is now virtually eradicated, except for a few cases in Afghanistan and Pakistan, where they've had a few challenges. But since the late 80s, we've done that on a global basis, and we've done a lot more in continuing in the health arena and the other pillars. And now, as we said a moment ago, it's really time to save the planet. A 7th area of focus, a new pillar, has now been officially added. It was announced on Earth Day 2021, just a few weeks ago, 51 years after Earth Day was founded by Senator Nelson. And it's got a terrible name, but it's the official one. It's called ESRAG, ESRAG, Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. It's a global Rotary action group that was instrumental in having supporting the environment announced as the new area of focus for Rotary. So we now have 7 pillars, 7 silos, and supporting the environment is this new one. The membership includes Rotarians and the wider Rotary family of Rotaractors, Interactors, alumni, and others. There has already been an announcement for the next Rotary year by the incoming RI president that she is dedicating $27 million for environmental projects and sustainability projects throughout the world. Now, that's a lot of money, but it's only $10,000 per club, or less than that with our 35,000 clubs. So every club that's going to do a project is going to have to get behind their efforts and raise money, just as we've done with all kinds of other things. The SRAG infrastructure is in place. We have a part-time executive director and some dedicated volunteers, people that I've known for a number of years and am close to, but they're working on a shoestring. And so my pitch to you, and I think Rhonda's pitch, is going to be that we collectively raise money to support the SRAG infrastructure. We just finished, and Rhonda will cover this in more detail, Earth Gives Day late last night, and I was able to bring Rotary in onto that platform, and we raised, I don't know, $13,000 or something like that, Rhonda, for SRAG. And any contributions that you all decide to make can be made through the Earth Gives platform, and they will be tax deductible contributions because it's a 501c3. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rhonda, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'll put a couple of links in the chat for you all.
Thanks, George. I'm going to share my screen. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to give a couple shout outs. First, I got to do the, hey, Andrea, bear down. And also hello to Dave Howell. I didn't see that you were on the call. Dave was instrumental in me and my long ex-husband moving back to Phoenix to work in the television business. So that's how I ended up back in Phoenix, although I grew up here. So it's a pleasure to be able to chat with all of you today and give you a little bit more of a sense on what Earth Gives is all about and what we're trying to accomplish. And so to give some perspective on some of my history here in Phoenix is that I was board chair of the Alliance of Arizona Nonprofits back in 2012, and actually was hired to help found that organization, create the structure and all of that, among other organizations here in town. And so then years later, I was asked to join the board, eventually became the board chair. And at this time, these ideas of giving days were just coming about, and we were one of the early entry points into that. But what frustrated me in my consulting with nonprofits for many, many years and having worked in nonprofits, including the March of Dimes, so I always love hearing conversation about polio, having worked for them, is that I think most of you are business leaders, and we tend to be very transactional in what we do. And I believe in my heart that, well, I guess Rotary bears this out, that you do business with people you know, and building relationships actually builds wealth and richness in your life. And so having been through the process of building and launching Arizona Gives Day, I felt like there were some opportunities. Having been a journalist, been in PR and marketing for years and years and years, I tend to look at the world in a slightly different perspective. And I thought, how do we go from transactional to transformational? How do we center relationship building in a different way? And so in 2018, I went through a series of losses and disruptions to my life, losing people, just a number of things, and sort of decided, what am I going to do next? And I felt like no matter what I did, that it had to be for my kids. I've got two amazing young adult children, a son who's about to graduate the U of A in film and television. Dave, he's not going to work in news, it's more creative. And then a daughter who graduated NAU last year in biology. She's down in the canyon right now doing field work. And I thought, I have to think about what I'm leaving them. And even though I had never consulted with organizations in the environmental space, I turned my attention to that. I was gravitating towards the youth climate strikers and some other interesting things. And it occurred to me, what about a giving day for the environment? And so I started iterating on that and doing research as it relates to that. And I came across a great piece, journalistic publication called the Chronicle of Philanthropy. And in reading through it and doing the research on that, I realized and discovered that environmental philanthropy is just 3% of all giving. And so that is literally the lowest issue area of all. And as we know, if you read any headline in horror, we realize that this is really the most consequential issue of our time. So what can we do? How do I give my time and resources and attention to be part of the solution? And so as I started iterating on this concept of a giving day, I realized these giving days are proven platforms. The largest giving day in the country is in North Central Texas, and it raised nearly $60 million last year. And they had a $1.5 million prize fund, and I'll talk about a prize fund more in a minute. But they're able to drive a lot of attention by rallying their community together, just like with Arizona Gives Day, to actually bring about change and drive money into organizations. And as we know, those closest to the ground really know what the issues are, just like with Family Promise, and they can do the work with seemingly very lean resources. So I thought this is where we can give our attention and look at it, not from a perspective of we're just going to raise money, but how does this proven tool become leverage to build a community of caring individuals who come together, both in catalyzing environmental philanthropy, getting educated through messaging and storytelling, and another piece, and help move the mountains that we literally need to move as it relates to this most consequential issue. So this, some of these slides, it's gonna feel a little bit like this doesn't make sense, but I'm giving you sort of a look into how we talk to some of the nonprofits that we onboarded from across the country. So literally, we see the Earth Gives Day platform as a one-stop shop for us to say, you want to do something, you're worried about the wildfires, the drought, and you don't even know where to begin. Come in here, shop around, get educated and learn, and maybe get engaged. And a lot when in the world of fundraising, as many of you may know, some people start with a relationship, an in-kind donation. They go to an event, they buy a ticket, or they hand something over. The idea is that you build that relationship to take them on the spectrum of how they move from that to high-level donor or board member or whatever else it is, and very engaged in building sort of the ecosystem of giving around that. And so we see this Giving Day platform, which is backed up by a technology company called Neon One. So they sort of have this widget of sorts, and you fit into it, just like Arizona Gives Day. Arizona Gives Day does what it does, and then Earth Gives Day is actually the first single issue nationwide giving day that has ever occurred. And just in case any of you have questions about like a Giving Tuesday, what that is, they're just trying to spark philanthropy. The work is done by the nonprofit. It is a hashtag. So the nonprofit uses a hashtag and says, give to us on Giving Tuesday. The difference with a giving platform is you actually come into the platform. There's a whole lot of work done behind it, onboarding, training on messaging, training on fundraising, a whole lot of stuff. There's the whole security piece in the back end. And then people are invited in. So it's very different. And for context also, Giving Tuesday started in, I think, 2012 and raised about $12 million. Last year, they counted up what all the nonprofits raised was just over $500 million. So we can start really small and the potential to grow. But for me, success is more than just how much money we raise or how many donors we get, but how do we create that sort of upstream opportunities for volunteerism, for thinking differently, for where you spend your money and time and all those kinds of things. So there's much more to this thinking, but I'm going to show you a little bit about the widget. So this is about bringing people more closely together. So this is the Giving Day platform a little bit. You can certainly go to earthgives.org and walk around and check it out. And there's a lot of big opportunities there. This was just a very small proof of concept start, and we have a lot more opportunity. We had to literally start from the beginning, building a database of environmental nonprofits from across the country. We haven't even touched the surface on that, but we basically reached out to and called and emailed over 1,000 nonprofits in the last several months. Nonprofits are then invited in to register. So they come into the platform. The platform sits in a whole different sort of space where the public is not paying attention to it. And people come into the back end, they register, and they agree to terms of service. They fill out all kinds of things. They add in their contact information as it relates to social media and those kinds of things. And then from that, they're in the system, and they basically get one page and they can build that out. And they're given all kinds of webinars and handholding and training. So small, medium, and large nonprofits, certainly the large nonprofits have more resources to kind of really put this to work, but it's the medium and the small that really get noticed and recognized and discovered in other situations where they may not. So I will be happy to tell you that we actually had international donors last night. Why? Because of Rotary. So some Rotarian in New Delhi made a donation to SRAG. So thanks to George and SRAG for being involved with that. So we do a lot of sort of behind the scenes training with the organizations. They set up a public profile. They can do all kinds of things. And there's also a number of tools that you can utilize on the back end that make donations easier to get. So maybe in Rotary situation, you're making phone calls, you're sending emails, and you're asking people. On a giving platform, it's all connected to social media. And so it allows you to amplify your message in a broader way and have people discover you. And so if a donor comes in and gives, that donor at checkout is asked to, do you want to share this on your Facebook or Twitter feeds or whatever? And they say yes. And then they go, I gave, you should too. It invites more people into the mix. So the idea is that Earth Gives is not only working to create an ecosystem of environmental nonprofits and a one-stop shop platform, but it is also has the ability to create an ecosystem for the echo of the information and the discovery of opportunities to happen. And part of that comes in something called fundraising pages. So we particularly chose this screenshot because you'll see Larry Hand, who's one of the founders of SRAG. They're based up in Madison, Wisconsin. And they joined because of George. And what he did is he set up his own fundraiser, which you can easily do, and say, I'm Larry, I'm involved in Rotary, I'm one of the founders, and I'd like you to give to my fundraiser. So all of the money he raised, which was definitely over $2,000, goes into SRAG. He doesn't keep it. It's basically he's going out as a board member, as a founder, as a volunteer, as somebody who just loves a particular initiative, and they go out and fundraise on behalf of the organization. There's also tools that allow you to create a template, make it super easy for someone so they don't have to go in and sort of create a little mini page if they have any reticence around that. And you can send the link and it automatically populates and somebody can sort of raise funds in that way as well. And this gives you just a little bit closer look. So Larry got 2,089, and you can literally see over on the right-hand side of your screen who gave, where they gave from. So you see Wisconsin, Georgia, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and more from Wisconsin, and when they gave and how much they gave. You can be anonymous, but these folks obviously chose not to be. And so then getting to the prize fund, why a giving day? Why come through a giving platform? Well, you get discovered. More donors come in. There's like a high propensity of brand new donors discovering you. And that has been seen over time. Arizona Gives Day has seen that too, 30% and higher of people who have a propensity to do that. But one of the things that I mentioned earlier, the largest prize fund is in North Central Texas, 1.5 million. They're backed up by a foundation that backs them up. So I'm sure through that, they've been able to raise a lot of money. Arizona Gives Day has raised it through corporate grants and donations. And we raised it through one-on-one phone calls and asking people to give money. Started very small. But what happens is the giving day is gamified. And so the gamification is typically most donors, most dollars. Whoever raises the most, whoever brings the most donors to the site can win prize money. Whoever raises the most money can win prize money. And then it's usually broken down by small organization, medium organization, large organization, and then overall. So SRAG, even though I think the screenshot may have been taken early, won a lot of prize money. So they'll be walking away with probably, I would say, at least another $3,000. George, don't quote me on that, but my preliminary examination of it is that they'll be getting 3,000 of the prize dollars that I and George and others were able to raise. So that's very exciting. And so the idea is that we can grow that amount. So you can raise, X amount of money and then get a ton more layered on, and then you drive that towards your mission. One of the things that I think we have the opportunity to do here is that prize funds or leaderboards, like in golf, can actually be set up to be very specific for where it goes. So there could be a donor, a philanthropist who comes in and says, I really love supporting the ocean. So I want to do a leaderboard just for ocean, bay, rivers, streams, lakes, maybe anything water-based. I want to do a leaderboard just for them. So then they would compete to win that prize money. And they could also compete for overall. So there's all kinds of buckets of prize fund dollars that can create it. And because of the philosophy that I'm hoping that we're going to create, that this is about creating a caring community, not just about raising money, that we can raise and establish a prize fund that is about collaboration. So a perfect example for this would be the first nonprofit to join, again, has a link to George, and it's known as WELC, Western Environmental Law Center. They're out of Oregon, but they cover the entire American West. And they are legal lawyers and advocates on behalf of endangered species and land and air. And they go to court basically to fight on our behalf to protect those things. So they were founded based on protecting the northern spotted owl. Well, one of the Arizona nonprofits that joined, what is very near and dear to my heart, is the Wild at Heart. So they help rehabilitate owls and build new environments as development encroaches on the burrowing owl place. And if you've never heard about them, you might want to check them out. It's very cool. So imagine those two sort of collaborating, giving shout outs to one another during a Gives Day in the lead up to the Giving Day and the Giving Day. It models collaboration. It's about what we hope is in our DNA, and that is about building a community. And it's not just what I get, it's what we all get, because we all rise and fall based on our success around us. So lots of opportunities with the prize fund, and it can be funded by anyone. So what's next? Basically, what we're looking to do is, now that we've got proof of concept, to build this concept out and catalyze environmental philanthropy, again, from 3% and really blow it up to have greater impact within the organizations that already know what they're doing. We hope that we can begin to tap into the experts, because we don't pretend that we're experts, even though we have 2 PhDs in sustainability on our board. We hope to advance that and maybe even create an advisory group around sustainability and climate. But to not recreate, but actually tap in to people and organizations that are already doing it. So partnership, and amplify those kinds of things. And then the hope is that as you become educated and have more knowledge through storytelling, is that you think about where you give your time and attention, where you vote with your wallet, and where you vote with your vote. And so to me, philanthropy isn't just, hey, I'm making a donation. Philanthropy is where I give my time, my attention, where I spend my day-to-day dollars, and how I show up in the world. So doing that. Then, of course, building the interconnectedness of all the organizations. So we are agnostic to the kind of organization that comes in. They must be a 501c3. Certainly our board will make decisions into the future about how we're going to delineate even further if that is necessary, just like we did with Arizona Gives Day. But that this becomes a one-stop shop, learn about these organizations, and we can actually activate the platform year-round in a way to catalyze ongoing philanthropy and messaging. And so there is a way that we can do that, but it's going to take more investment into Earth Gives for us to have the resources to be able to actually do that. So that is my hope. And because then we can take advantage of, there's a day for everything and a week for everything. There's Sloth Day. International Sloth Day is coming up on October 20th. International Day of Climate Action is October 24th. And America Recycle Day is November 15th. So those are just examples of different sort of events that we can do throughout the year to bring people to the page, to have them discover, to make donations in an ongoing way, to navigate through events, to have experts from all of these organizations. I mean, like George brought in the Explorers Club, which he's also a part of. But we've got scientists in the Arctic and Antarctic and all over the world doing amazing scientific studies. And so we have the opportunity to bring these expertise and expose them to the broader public. So that's what we're hoping to do. And then, and Joss and Dave will totally appreciate this, but when you start as a journalist, you see the world through a lens of storytelling. And so while people might say that that's kind of a nice add-on, I believe that the storytelling of environmental challenges that we face are critical to what we do next. And so I don't see it as icing on the cake. I see it as an asset and a product of what we need to utilize as we go forward. And then making it real every day. There's an app idea that I have, and that would be sort of with you 24/7, reminding you, iterating, providing you ideas and insights on maybe what products to purchase and a number of things. And I could get into more on that, but I'm concerned that I may be running out of time. So I just wanted to say thanks. And that's what we're trying to do. And I guess when it comes to Rotary, I would say that we are looking for partnerships. This was founded in Arizona. It is an Arizona story. And I think we can really do something with that. And along with you, maybe have a chance of amplifying this in a much bigger way all throughout 2022. So that's it.
Thanks, Rhonda. Thanks so much for doing this. Just to the group, we really don't have time, Angela, I don't think, for a bunch of Q&A. This gives everybody an opportunity to go somewhere. We all have interests and you just don't know what to do or where to go. This is a place to go. And then you can figure out how to make an impact there. So, I encourage you to go to the Earth Gives website, take a look, like Rhonda said, take a look around, explore a little bit. Go to SRAG as well. You can see what Rotary is doing. Rotary is behind this. If we can solve polio, we can do great things together. And it's such an important thing, and it's not political. It's something that benefits all of us. So I encourage you all to do it. And thanks so much, Rhonda, for doing. I know I can't believe you're even awake after yesterday. It was like the telethon.
Yeah.
Anyway. Thanks very much. I really appreciate it. Angela?
Thank you, Joss, and thank you, Rhonda, for that great presentation. Well, this concludes again, I didn't change that 4th to the 8th. 7th is the 7th meeting of the 108th year of Phoenix Rotary 100. Come out to St. Luke's tomorrow. Bring items for the Welcome Center here to the Rotary office. Pick up your roster, sign up for the O'Connor program, which is going to be in 2 weeks, and call a friend to make sure that they're coming too. And so I also, just another announcement is that I found a place to donate all the liquor. So after holding on to these bottles of wine and random bottom shelf bottles of liquor that have been in the office for so long, we're donating it to a Rotary event for the Club Rotario de Phoenix, which is a Spanish-speaking Rotary club, who's putting on a pupusa festival. And if you don't know what a pupusa is, then you should probably attend the pupusa festival. It's a delicious food. And with that, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, rest of the day, and I'll see you soon.